Blessings! This is Lady Saoirse. How are you tonight? Okay, I am doing live readings from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Ohio time, and I need to adjust the lighting, don't I? This looks creepy. Okay. That's better. So, all right, I can see my comments. Great. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my live stream. We are hoping to do more live streams on Pagan Pages, and we are inviting our writers to contribute to that. And if there are people who have not signed on to contribute with us yet, reach out to us, send us a message, and we'd love to discuss that with you. You can do live readings for an hour, or you can do a class or moderate a discussion. I think that would be a lot of fun. The way that I got the idea to do the live readings is I was hired for a psychic company, and they would have us take turns doing that, and it was just so much fun. So I sign on a few minutes early to make sure that everything is working. And I see we have one current viewer. I don't know if that's counting me or if that's somebody else. But at any rate, so I'm just going to talk for another minute because it was scheduled to start at 6, so it's still a little early. Okay, there's no current viewers. Okay. So I guess I'm just going to wait a minute until I start talking much and hope that we do not get a power outage and that none of you get a power outage. I'm sure some of you watching are due to be hit by the winter storm that could start at any minute now. And I know that multiple states have already declared a state of emergency. So there is a standing joke in the county where I live that all of the stores are out of bananas. So right now the joke is bananas. And so everybody posts a picture when they're at the grocery store, whether or not there's bananas on the rack. There's also a Taco Bell in my township that has extra long lines. So people are saying, what are the lines at Taco Bell like? And I responded, well, I heard if you take a banana, your weight is cut in half. So I am having too much fun with that. All right, it is 6 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen, and we are starting live readings with Lady Saoirse. Bright blessings and welcome to Pagan Pages. I think this is the second time that I've done live readings with Pagan Pages, and the way that I got the idea to do that was I was hired by an online psychic company, which I work for, and I was also hired for their sister company. I do all of the blog articles, and so I don't have to do the live readings with them anymore or do work as an online psychic with them because I'm contributing so many articles. But when I first got hired with the company, they were having us all take turns doing live readings, and that was a lot of fun. So then they discontinued that, and I missed it. So I've done it on my Facebook wall, and I've done it with Pagan Pages once, and I'm going to continue doing it. And we are hoping to get more people to contribute to go live with us on our Facebook wall. You can do live readings, you can lead a discussion, you know, or you can teach a class. I know someone who is a devotee of the goddess Sekhmet who lives in town with me, and I've already talked to her. I want to have her come and do a discussion on Sekhmet in my living room with me. I think that would be wonderful. So I see we have 2 viewers. I'm ready to give a reading at any time somebody would like one. You can ask me about anything. My name is Lady Saoirse, and I started learning about tarot probably back in 2004. Got my first tarot deck that time, and then I got the first deck that I still own in 2005 while I was living in Phoenix. And that is when I had my awakening as a witch. I am a recovered Catholic. I'm very knowledgeable about the teachings and witchcraft of the Catholic Church. And if you think that the Catholics don't practice magic, you can think again, because they do. My mother was a witch, but she didn't know it. Hi, Gina. Would you like a reading? I see we have one lady here while I'm waiting. So I started my magical path in 2004 when I got my first reading, but I didn't cross over into studying until 05. And 07, I want to say, is when I started studying with my Wiccan high priest, Lord Shadow, and I decided that I wanted to do Wicca, and I got my Hi Trinity. There's my niece Trinity. Most beautiful young woman in America is my niece right there, not just because she looks like me. She is amazing. Okay, Gina, you get to go first. What would you like me to read about for you, Gina? So anyways, I got my ordination a little over between 3 and 4 years ago, and 3 years ago, this February, was the passing of my beloved priest, Lord Shadow. So, Jacqueline Griffin, not interested. Well, that's okay, Jacqueline. You can hang out and listen, even if you don't want a reading. So, Gina, what would you like me to read about for you? General. Okay. So, Gina, I am an energy reader, and I have never read for you before, so you don't know this about me. What I'm going to have you do is just send me some of your energy. And if you've not done a lot of energy work before, just focus in your mind, sending me feelings about your life, what's going on, what you'd like to know. I can feel it coming, and once I feel like I've got everything, I'm just going to start pulling some cards. You're doing good. The more open you are, the more I can read. Okay, General. So I'm getting my cards out, and I will show them to you as I get them. I'm going to work with 3 decks, Gina. Well, thank you for coming on, Miss Gina. It's always good to see people's smiling faces when we do this. Okay, so the first I have is he's cutting something away. He's got a big axe in his hand at a spring forest where things are newly sprouting. And the key to this card is the axe that's going to cut some things away. Some people think of it as scary, but it's really not, because it almost looks like he's holding the sun in his hands. So generally right now is a time of change, and I have a time signifier. This looks like Easter. This is Ostara. So we're coming up in Ostara mid-March. So Gina, you're going to have some major changes mid-March, but you're the one that's going to have to initiate those changes by getting rid of some things that no longer serve your life. The Empress card, this represents you. This is reversed. The Empress card represents traditionally basically a queen in her castle. but it also represents a mother figure, fertility, hearth and home. This is you, but you're reversed. And right side up is an Emperor card, which represents a male energy, male figure. Now, there's something some people don't know about me. Cards don't necessarily represent male or female. In this reading, this is someone who has a lot of masculine and feminine energy and who has complete control of you, and they need to go. And there's a lot of emotions that are running high in this situation. You're basically in a relationship that's not so good with someone who is in charge, someone who is bossy, someone who is controlling things, and someone who is not listening. With the Emperor card, it can go two different ways. They can lead by example, or they can be pushy. This individual is being very pushy. Right side up, the Empress card holds her world in her hands, and she holds a royal scepter which she rules with, and this is reversed because somebody else has the power over you. So my reading for you is Ostara time, mid-March. You need to give that individual the boot, and I'm going to pull another card on that. I've actually got 4 cards. So I have the Lover's card reversed. I have the Endurance card reversed. I have the Boredom card reversed. This particular relationship, you've been tolerating, I use profanity, so just bear with me. You've been tolerating a lot of bullshit in this particular situation, and it's pushed you past your endurance, and it's... The Lover's card right side up is about a balanced relationship. This is completely imbalanced. I understand, Gina. Love, regardless, the relationship is imbalanced, and things are going to happen, and you're going to have a choice. It's going to be a good idea to cut this individual loose, even though you do love him. And you've got the card for protection. So the protection card, when you have a reading like this, means that everything is going to be okay for you. You do have the Fool card reversed, and the Fool card right side up is setting forth on a new journey, striking out, making your way. You might not feel ready to do it, but the time is going to be at hand in the spring to do it. So I get a feeling this isn't exactly what you want to hear, but this is a dump him, sweetheart reading, and everything will go well for you if you do. So blessed be to you, and best of luck with that. The time is at hand, and thank you so much. Next, I'm going to go to Trinity. It's time for your reading, my darling. Okay, Gina, while Trinity is typing her response to me about what she would like me to read about, you're involved with someone who's on drugs. And I was raised by someone who was on drugs. She was on drugs from about the time she was probably 16 years old until the time she died. She was about 70. And it didn't get better, it got worse. You have a decision to make, woman to woman. I got away from her when I was 22, and I've never looked back. You've got a decision to make if you want to allow that in your life or not, and it's your right and your business, but the cards are telling me that it's a good time to get out this spring. So, blessed be, sister. So, Miss Trinity, what am I reading about for you, Miss Trin? My drop-dead gorgeous niece. She is a firecracker. She is very smart, and she takes after her mama, who is a lot like my sister, my niece's grandmother. I've just been so rough lately, mentally and emotionally. Okay. So, Trinity, I'm going to have you send me some energy. And I'm telling you guys right now, the first thing I'm going to feel is love. That's the first thing she sends me. But what I want you to do is send me more than love, Miss Trin, about, I want you to open yourself to what are messages I can get from this so that I can give you some good advice. So go ahead and send that anytime you're ready. And when I feel like I've got enough, I will get some cards. I got you. Okay. The first card that I pulled for you is the Claddagh. And this is a Celtic symbol of loyalty and love and fidelity. And one really good thing you've got going for you is your marriage, also your relationship with your mom, but your marriage. This guy is in your corner. He's got your back. He's your number one supporter. And there were times when I was sick that the only thing that I had was my relationships with the people who I loved, and that saw me through. So this coming up as the first card tells me that during this rough emotional and mental time, lean on your relationships with the people who you know you can love and trust. And one thing that I'm going to point out about this card, two hands are holding this. So it's not like you're holding your own heart. Multiple people who love you are holding on to your own heart. And anytime you want to text, you text me. If I don't see your message immediately, I will see it. So I've also got two cards, two fire cards with, you know, emotions and passion and things that you're excited about, things that drive you to push to succeed, and both of those cards are reversed. So basically, during this difficult time, things that you get an adrenaline rush from, a jolt, things that make you excited are not going to be your go-to things to get through this difficult time. But I did get next the card for transformation, and this is the monarch butterfly emerging from its chrysalis, formed and whole. The ugliest thing about difficult emotional and mental times is what's going on is going on inside you, not necessarily a reflection of what's happening. It's not necessarily your reaction. Sometimes it's how you naturally are. And getting through this, you're going to be transforming, but I did get this right side up, so it's not like it's reversed. So during this time, the action card, instead of what you're emotional about, instead of having an emotional reaction to things, is to transform those emotions. And two things are going to make that happen. You've got this card for, this is the broom. This can have to do with sweeping things out of your life, but this shows a move, a change in the places where you go. Sometimes it's a change in residence, but it's also got a spring signifier. You and Gina both had spring signifiers, but this is when there are blossoms on the trees, pink blossoms on the trees. There's not a lot of greenery yet. There's just some baby leaves and some blossoms. So early spring before May. So March and April before May. A change in the things that you do, a change in the things where you go. But also what I see you doing, I see a picture. This is representing you. Standing at the top with the ruling scepter and people bowing to you, but you're bowing to something that's greater than you. Does that make sense? Some conventional Christians would interpret this as giving it to God. And I am a daughter of Odin. We don't submit because our God wants us to grow the fuck up. What I see is you having faith in your future. I think that there will be some kind of a doctor change, possibly some kind of a medication adjustment, but also a change in your daily routines is going to create some change, and you're going to feel better when those things happen. The things that you do this spring are going to change. I know you had told me earlier you were looking for another job, and I know that you are a really good worker, so I think that that's going to help. But I think that changing your schedule in general, your sleep schedule, your eating schedule, I want you to get plenty of sunlight. I do know this is cheating, guys. This is my niece, okay? There are some things that we share in common because of our genetics, and one of the things that always fucked me up was winter. And one thing that started helping me in winter was making sure that I get outside and that I'm not laying around a lot. So be up, be moving as much as possible, bundle up, go for a walk. That first hour that you're awake, get some vitamin D. Even if you don't have anywhere to go or anything to do, get out and do something. Go out, talk to the neighbors, go for a ride with your husband, ride your bike around the corner. And those things are really going to help you. When you're not working and you want to work, you might feel like there's nothing to look forward to for the day. Get up and go to the park. Make something to do every single day so that you have something to look forward to while you are changing scenery. And scenery is going to change this spring. Alrighty, so I have somebody else, Trinity, I love you so much. So I have someone else that signed on, Destiny Ibog. Hello, Destiny. I'm going to give you a heart. And Destiny, I would love you to send me a message and tell me what you would like a reading about, because you're next. I'm going to tell you guys there's a profanity filter. I'm not going to put that on. Why would I censor you guys when I don't censor myself? Thank you, Miss Trinity. Thank you so much. And you can text me anytime, especially if you have gossip. Oh my God, I need gossip. Because I'm a boring person and I don't generate any. Miss Destiny, are you still on here? So I do not see Destiny anymore. I have one viewer right now, and I think that must be Miss Trinity. Trinity, are you still with me? Is anybody else still here besides Trinity? Because if they're not, I'm going to give Trinity another reading if she wants one. Oh, I have no viewers. Okay, so I am live and waiting to see if anybody else joins. While I am waiting for viewers, I'm going to, for the hell of it, put my cards back. Because what I do is I have my different stacks of cards on the ready, and if I have somebody sitting in front of me, I have them pick the decks that they want me to use, and I don't right now. If I'm reading live online, what I do is stack them up in front of me and just let my instincts pull cards. So what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for people to come, there's something that I would like to read about, and that is the American political situation. I've had multiple people talking to me. One of the guys I know, he made me laugh so hard. He says, April, I need you to put a curse on Donald Trump. And I said to him, there have been so many witches who did that already. And I don't think it's working. One thing that I would like to say that I've been saying to people, I mean, I'm 50 years old. I remember when I was in high school, when I first started learning about how hard some of the Republicans were pulling to take away our rights to birth control. And the fights for abortion rights were hard and heavy. And I was so terrified as a young woman for myself that I wouldn't have any right to control my own body. And I have watched things change so much. I have watched so much nastiness between politicians. I saw the Berlin Wall come down. I've lived through a lot, and I've seen a lot. And my husband's family survived the Holocaust. And well, some of them did. Some of them were on concentration camps and never made it out. And the things that they saw over there before they immigrated to the United States were just unspeakable. There was no food to be had. One of them, as a little boy, was 12 years old and snuck away from Nazis, got a grandparent by the hand, and led them to safety. A 12-year-old child did that. In the United States, we're seeing ICE go after people in the streets. And there are people comparing the Republicans to the Nazis right now. But we do not have people being led away to gas chambers and being put to death by thousands right now, thank goodness, because we have worked so hard to make sure these things don't happen in our country. So I'm going to pull a few cards about the political situation of the United States right now. And I have one viewer. I want you to let me know who you are and let me know what you are reading about while I'm pulling these cards. Okay. And now I have no viewers, so maybe somebody will watch this. I have 4 cards from 3 different decks. I pulled the boredom card reversed again. I pulled a card reversed that looks very much like the Fool, but this is the 2 of coins. I pulled a card where somebody is sailing either into or out of a harbor of sorts. And I pulled another 2 card of Cups reversed. I'll tell you what these cards mean, and then I'll tell you the interpretation. Another thing is, on all 4 of these cards, I'm seeing pairs. Even though there are 2 cards that have the number 2, there's one that's got the number 4, and then there's a card that's got the number 6. But there are pairs of things on all 4 cards. And about our political situation, what that's telling me is the problems that we have in this country are not just because of the Republicans. The Republicans think the Democrats are the problem. The Democrats think the Republicans are the problem. The problem is both. Literally. One thing that I have said many times is none of this would be happening right now if the highly qualified black lady had been voted into office. 2/3 of Americans did not vote for her. 1/3 of Americans voted for Donald Trump. 1/3 of Americans voted for her, and 1/3 of Americans voted for either a third-party candidate or did not vote. So 2/3 of people did not want her in office, even though they were saying that the numbers were close. And then enough Americans voted in hardcore conservative red representatives who were anti-gay, anti-female, anti-black, anti-progress, and that's how we got Donald Trump back in office. So another thing that's happening is there's a lot of infighting between the Democrats, and they're not unified. This is my cat, Cordelia. They're not unified, and that's causing a problem for the rest of us, and that does make it hard for people to vote. So these 4 cards are telling me that the problem lies on both sides of the political spectrum. On one hand, this card shows us not pedaling out of this situation. And this card, it's very iffy. Is the ship sailing into port, or is the ship sailing out? It's a port that's lined with swords or difficulties. Are we sailing into the difficulties, or are we sailing out? I cannot tell by looking at this card today. I like to think we're sailing out of the difficulties, but I don't know, because I've got this card for making a decision, and it's reversed. So I would say what these 4 cards are telling me is the American political situation is we are stuck in the situation that we're in, and we're not coming out of it anytime soon because the citizens are so at odds with each other that we're not working together to get a candidate in there who's going to help us and take care of us the way that we need to be taken care of. We have such allegiance to our personal candidates that we forget that they work for us. And the problem is, it really shouldn't be our neighbors. We should unite as a nation and hold our politicians accountable, and we're not doing that because we're too busy fighting and following them like cult members. And until we stop doing that and giving the allegiance to them instead of expecting them to give the allegiance to us, we're not going to come out of this. So we are stuck. And I do have one viewer. Would you like a reading? I will read about whatever topic you would like me to read about. Okay, I have 0 viewers. That means I get to decide what I'm going to talk about. Those of you who are new to reading and want to know about reading professionally, ways to get practice is to read for your friends, but also to measure with them the progress. You know, over time, did your reading come true? Was what you said something that was accurate for them? If they ask you how a date's going to go and you answer them, did the date go the way you said it would go? And each time somebody validates to you that you were accurate, that's going to help you build confidence more. And we, as readers, one thing for you to think about, do you want to read professionally for other people? I had somebody tell me this past week they love baking, and I said, you know, maybe you'll get a job in a bakery. And they said, no, if I do it for pay, I won't love it anymore. For me, I read because I'm good at it and I want to help people. And I 12 months ago stopped reading in a shop where I had done work with the people who owned the shop for like 15 years, and I am enjoying not working in a shop right now so much because there were just so many people who came in asking very interesting questions about things that they should have seen their doctor for, or that that I was not willing to answer, like how do I put a curse on my ex, things like that. So I have a viewer. Would you like a reading? I'm waiting on the messages. I can see all your messages here. Anytime that you would like a reading, even if you've already asked a question, you can ask me another one because I'll be here for another 25 minutes. But, you know, reading in a shop is entirely different, especially if you're alone in a room with them. On one hand, if you're alone in a room with them, you have the quiet and the privacy that they deserve. But on the other hand, you know, you might be stuck in the room with someone who needs to be in a padded room, and that's what happened to me a couple of times. So that is the reason why I'm enjoying not reading in shops anymore. So I did my reading about the current political climate. Does not look like we're going to move out of that anytime soon. And we got here together, and we're going to walk out of here together, and I don't know how long that's going to take, but it's not going to be soon. There is seldom, with a very sticky situation like our American political situation right now, very seldomly does something like that happen with one election. It's been something that's coming. It's been coming for years, and I can tell you exactly when it started. It started when we were enlightened enough to elect Obama, who was a wonderful president who really gave a fuck, and who did some good work. And there were a lot of people who could not handle how progressive he was. I remember when the rage started in force when gay marriage was legalized while he was president. I remember him and Joe Biden running through the corridor with a gay pride flag, in their hand, and I remember how they lit up the White House with the gay pride colors, and that, I believe, is when the organized anti-progressives started to unite a little bit harder. And it wasn't just because he was black, but that was part of it. I remember the comments from the anti-black, anti-progressives, and they outvoted us because we let them. I like to think there are more of us than them, but we do protest votes because we thought Hillary was a bitch. We did protest votes because Kamala Harris is not anti-Israel, and that's how we ended up with Donald Trump. So I don't know how soon we're going to get rid of him, but I don't know that he's going to die in office. So I'm going to go for 5 more minutes, and if I have no more viewers, I am going to sign off. And in the meantime, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Pagan Pages. This was started a little over 20 years ago by Jennifer Sikaza Wright, and she and her husband have ran this wonderfully. She's had multiple assistant admins. Currently there's a couple of us, and one of the ladies stepped down. We're looking for more writers. We're always looking for more writers. If you review a book, you get to keep the book, and some books you get sent are on file online. You don't necessarily have to get a brick and mortar book, but if you want that, you can get that. And we will have you review products sometimes. If you review the product, you get to keep it. We need people to do interviews of businesses and authors and filmmakers, and it's just a lot of fun. We also are looking for people who would like to do live content like this. It's just a lot of fun. Bring your ideas, bring your passion, bring your love for paganism and magic, you know, and join us. Join your magic with others. We are always looking for new people to join our family at Pagan Pages. So a little bit more about myself. I did study with a chaos magician for a while, and that just it wasn't a match. But I did start studying Wicca with Lord Shadow, and that was definitely a match. I studied with him for over 13 years until his death, and 2 weeks before his death, he was still discussing magic and religion online and in person with people. Almost up to the day that he passed, he was a priest to the end. He was a witch to the end, and he was a Thelemite, a ceremonial magician to the end. And a lot of you watching will be walking your magical paths for many more years until you cross the veil and hopefully come back magical again. So let's talk about my decks. This is a Celtic deck. So we have things that represent the Sabbats, archetypes, concepts. This is the Chariot. This is the classic Chariot symbolism, element of fire. Characters like the Sisters of Fate. Now this is Norse. The Weird Sisters are Norse, but they still put this in the Celtic deck because the Celts were heavily influenced by the Norse when they invaded. There's the chalice overflowing, and here's a card that I really love, the Otherworld card. In Celtic symbolism, the Otherworld was the world of spirit, and twice a year it's possible for spirits from the other world to cross the veil from the other world into the land of the living. and take the living back with them. Those 2 times of year are Beltane. There's less of an emphasis on being pulled to the other side for Beltane and more of an emphasis on divination. But during Samhain, that's when the dead walk very easily amongst the living, and a time when we do memorials and venerate our dead, but also protect ourselves from being taken back. And that had a very practical acclamation. That's my husband calling. I'll call him back later. That had very practical use because Samhain started around the first week of November, give or take a few days. And that was when the freezing times began. And that's when everybody was staying inside and flu season started and people started dying. Food could be scarce. So there were a lot of prayers that were done during those times to get the people through those freezing times and get back to the spring. And a lot of the magic that they worked at Samhain was to protect the people and the livestock and the crops that they had harvested and keep people safe through the winter to get to the spring when there wasn't as much disease or sickness or suffering, because the earth was not eating you alive so much. And then when summertime comes around, that's another story. Okay, so I have one viewer. Would you like a reading? I would love to read for you. Let me know what you want me to read about, please. And I will pull some cards for you. I have 7 decks on hand and an oracle bag on waiting. Well, while I'm waiting for a question, I will show you another of my decks. This is the Carl Jung Archetypes deck. And he was a psychologist who studied under Freud and was thought of as one of his peers after he graduated, basically. And he had concepts of certain archetypes. This one, for example, is called the Night Watchman. And in the Night Watchman card, there's the innocent little mouse trying to get safely away from the cat that's waiting to pounce on him at all times. This is one of my favorite cards. This is the Virgin Whore archetype card, and that is a societal statement, in my opinion. You're either a pure virgin or you're not pure anymore, and you've been quote-unquote soiled, and you're a whore. But interestingly enough, the 2 portraits in there are just the same person. This is a beautiful, beautiful card. This is the Poet card, and I call this my beautiful dreamer card. And it talks about people who are living their bliss, following their dreams, following what they love. This was all of us in our teens and 20s. This is the card. I call this my Demon Queen card, and this is the bad girl in all the right ways. As long as she balances things, that is. And this is a beautiful card. This is the Anima Animus card. And that card deals with a concept in Wicca about balance of masculine and feminine energies. Early in Wicca, it was considered a sexual balance between men and women because Gerald Gardner liked to have sex and ritual. And he was a man who liked to have sex with women. But the concept of anima animus and the balance is more than just this. It's balancing qualities that have been classically considered masculine and feminine. It's, you know, balancing the qualities of leadership with nurturing, and the qualities of being passive with being active. And you don't have to be male to have these masculine qualities of assertiveness and taking action and leading. And you don't have to be female to have these so-called feminine qualities of compassion and nurturing and love. So the Anima Animus card is all about balancing all of those to make you more whole emotionally. And I really do love that deck. Would anybody else like a reading? Okay, I'm not hearing from anyone else, so I'm about to go off. But I'm going to tell you right now, those of you who are about to be hit by the storm, I want you to be safe. I want you to be warm and careful. If you lose power, do what you have to do to stay warm. Try to get your grocery shopping, get your prescriptions in advance, make sure there's plenty of pet food. Those of you who take dogs out, don't take them out for long walks unless you've got something like a Malamute or a Husky. If you've got a little Chihuahua, don't take your Chihuahua out for a 1-hour walk. I'm sorry, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm just taking mine right out and pottying, and then she's coming back in, and she's not happy with me, but that's just tough. So we are going to get through this storm no matter how hard it hits, and until I meet you again, may you be blessed by the old gods and the Mother Goddess. May all of your magic shine and bring the best out in you. And may we bring lots and lots of good times and good stories together again. Blessed be.